Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, the Labour opposition supports the need to provide certainty to the 85,000 Cantabrians who have been worrying about whether their insurance claims for earthquake damage would be paid out. Mr Speaker, in that regard, the Labour opposition supports the government's provision of up to $500 million as an equity stake in AMI insurance. The Labour opposition hopes that this package will provide the confidence and certainty that Cantabrians need. Mr Speaker, the well-being of Cantabrians and their ability to rebuild their homes and lives must not be put at risk because of financial uncertainty. We understand the extraordinary circumstances of 2 earthquakes in the immediate region of the domicile of this insurance company, which is New Zealand's largest domestic-based insurance operation. Mr Speaker, this package must, however, be seen as a last resort, and we note that the government has indicated that the $500 million will only be drawn upon as is indeed necessary when all other legitimate claims on equity and financing have been exhausted. Mr Speaker, safeguards must be put in place to protect the long-term interests of taxpayers. And Mr Speaker, we note that in the government's statement that what is being provided is, quote, up to $500 million in equity, plus the following statement from the government. I quote, "If losses were to be greater than $500 million, the Crown would stand behind the claims." Close quote. Mr Speaker, we will be seeking more detail from the Crown on the nature and extent of this additional exposure and what information has been provided upon it by the company. We note that in the case of another prominent South Island financial institution, the government's initial estimate of liability was of the same order of magnitude, but has ballooned to nearly 3 times the original estimated amount. We want to ensure that better standards of oversight occur in this case, and we put the government on notice that as part of the opposition's support for this step, we will expect ongoing consultation and sharing of information in respect of the company. Mr Speaker, part of the reason for that is that New Zealanders are sick and tired of bailing out the private sector, including finance companies which, let us say, in some other regards could have been, or some other circumstances, have been seen as often reckless and or greedy. Some companies have capitalised on the good times, raking in profits, but when they started making losses or going bust, it has been left up to the taxpayer to rescue them. That, sir, is not a precedent which we can allow to stand. It sticks in the throat of most New Zealanders. However, on this occasion, AMI is in a different situation that has come about through extraordinary circumstances. We accept that action has had to be taken to protect the interests of 85,000 AMI policyholders throughout New Zealand, especially those affected by the disaster in Canterbury. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Gareth Hughes.
Thank you, Mr.